What's going on, guys? Welcome back. And today I'm going to be reviewing Ninjago Season 10 March of the Oni, Episode 3, or Ninjago Episode 97, The Fall. So, if you didn't see my review last weekend on the first two episodes of the season, I thought they were okay. I didn't really like them at all. I kind of hated those episodes, because they contradicted everything that happened in the last season, and there were a ton of plot holes. I just hated them, overall. This episode is a great course correction. This is just such a great course correction for this season. I hope it gets better. I didn't think Cole was going to die, and I don't think he will die. I think something is going to happen to him, but I guess we'll just recap what happened. So, at the end of the last episode, the ninja got a distress call from the Ninjago news station to head over there. So Pixel was left behind to make sure Lloyd and Garmadon got out safe. So they went to save the people from the news station. Meanwhile, Lloyd and Garmadon are down in the Oni, down in Borg Tower, and the Oni are there, and the Omega Oni is summoning a ton of other Onis, and they run through all these, all, like, the relics, and it's kind of cool. You see the Serpentine staff, you see some cool cameos from some old relics, and they find the Golden Master's armor, which, of course, the Overlord forged from the Golden Weapons, which I didn't understand. I think that might be a little bit of a plot hole, because the Overlord got blown up. Zane blew him up, and his armor was, like, 1,000,000 feet tall. The Overlord was gigantic in that season, so how did his armor just shrink? Like, no one has, like, unless you have a really good thought-out excuse, that makes no sense, if you actually think about it. So that was kind of dumb. And the beginning was strangely bad. The first 5 minutes I found to be 6 minutes, I would say, I found strangely terrible. It was just Lloyd and Garmadon going back and forth with terrible dialogue, being like, "Oh, this is your fault. No, it's my fault. I blame you for this. Oh, you blame me for that?" It was just this really terrible dialogue, them going back and forth. And like I say, I preferred Garmadon being the cold, calculating character with no good left in him instead of this funny, charismatic character. But they kind of fixed that, as we'll get into later in the video. So meanwhile, the ninja are back and rescuing the people, and they arrive, and then, as they're climbing back up, you think everything's gonna be fine. The Oni, or the mist is kind of creeping up, and then Nia turns on an engine wrong, flips the lever wrong, and it pushes Cole off. Cole thinks he's gonna be able to get back on, and then the ladder breaks, and Cole falls. And that is why the episode is called The Fall. It was an insanely emotional moment. I think it was well done. It's like Cole didn't die, he just fell, you know? And, like, they all make it seem as if they died, but, like, I really liked that, because ever since Zane died, and, just since then, there hasn't been a moment where the team has really felt a loss that huge. And just the voice acting, the talent from all these voice actors just really sold me on the emotion that they were feeling. I thought it was insanely well voice acted, and it's just such a well done scene. It's like, other than Zane, they haven't really experienced this type of loss before, and it's really crushing for the audience and them. And I found that genius. I found that really incredible. So they have like this sad sung version of the Ninjago theme, or the Weekend Whip, or no, just the original Ninjago theme. They get away. Pixel has to go and rescue Lloyd and Garmadon. I liked how they experimented with a Nindroid entering the fog, which I didn't think about, and it means she, like, lows run on fuel, like, immediately. I found that interesting, because they were like, Pixel, we don't know what it'll do to you. It was interesting that they experimented with that, sort of thing, like, what would happen if a robot entered, or the Nindroid entered the darkness instead of an actual human? Their fuel would run low. That was interesting. I like that. I think that's why she was running low on fuel, or maybe it's just because she was flying there, but I thought that was an interesting, I think it's because of the fog, because other than that, like, they should have experimented with that more if that wasn't what they were going for. So then Lloyd and Garmadon, there are some really good, gripping, intense moments in this episode, which I loved, when Cole is almost getting taken down by the Oni, like, tentacles or whatever, the only tendrils of mist. I felt so gripped, like I was white-knuckled. I was just so on the edge of my seat while watching it. And then when Pixel is flying in, and then when she's flying back out, and then they're like, are they gonna miss the bounty? And then the bounty comes in. Nia's like, I'm not gonna lose anybody else. And then they go in and they rescue them, and it's just white-knuckled, intense sequences, and they're so well done. It's so much better than the first two episodes, which I just thought were awful. But this is just such a great course correction. there are a lot less issues with this episode. So then Lloyd gets back, and Lloyd is just crushed. Like he's like, "Yay, you saved me!" And then he's like, "What happened to Cole?" And it's just this crushing moment of defeat. And the voice acting is sold so well by each of them, especially Nia and Lloyd, I would say. And then Garmadon comes in and he's like, "Oh well, we have to survive." And then Lloyd's like, "There's more to life than survival." And then he stomps away, and then he's like, "Ninja, tell me, what is the most what do you think of this?" And then he's like, "I am sorry, but you were mistaken. Even now, I am incapable of logical thought." It's just so well done. Even Zane, this ninjroid, has suffered a loss so great that he feels like that. It's just so well done. And then this is where we get to, I think, the best scene in Ninjago history. Not the best, but one of them. Is when Garmadon is just talking to this guy. So Garmadon is taking to heart what Lloyd said. He's thinking about what Lloyd said about how there's more to life than survival, and he's confused. And then this guy from the news station they just rescued, he's like, "Hi, I'm Vinny, I'm just looking for the bathroom." And then Garmadon's like, "Wait, I have a query. What could be more important than survival?" And he's like, "Family, courage, everything that makes life worthwhile. I mean, without those, what is there?" There's something weird there, is like, he seems to be like a fanboy. He's like, "Oh my gosh, it's Garmadon." But like, he was the one who took over Ninjago in the last season. Like, he should be terrified. If I'm not mistaken, Ultraviolet took over their TV station, but whatever. But it's just an insanely emotional scene, and Garmadon, that's what I like, because in the last episodes, it felt like they were throwing aside the dark Garmadon, where there's no good left in him. But even now, he's still kind of a cold, calculating character. He doesn't really understand everything, and like, he doesn't understand life that much. And I really like that, where he kind of has to learn. And so this one guy is just, it's like, I didn't know that's what I wanted this whole time, is just a scene of Garmadon talking to this random guy. It's just a guy. It's just a random guy. And it's just such a great scene. I just don't know how to describe it. It's like, it's probably one of the best scenes in Ninjago history, in my opinion. I just think it's so well done. And then he kind of looks back at the picture and he's like, yeah, and it's just kind of like, okay, because like, he doesn't understand. Like, they're like, Cole's more than friend, like a friend. He was family. And then Garmadon's like he's like, "You don't understand that, do you?" And then Garmadon kind of starts to understand. And then at the end of the episode, Nia and Kai are saying that it's kind of really upsetting, because Nia is like, if you remember, one of the Hageman brothers posted this, like, a thing saying, "One ninja will make a fatal mistake," and that ninja ended up being Nia, unless another ninja makes a fatal mistake. But she pulled the lever the wrong way, and it pushed Cole off, and she feels so guilty, and she's crying. And then Kai walks out, and they have a nice, like, brother-sister moment. He's like, "You know, sis, you know, you're the one with all the brains." And it's just a really nice little brother-sister-brother moment, and I really liked it. And then she's just kind of randomly like, "Kai, we're gonna go to the Monastery of Spinjitzu and forge the golden weapons," and it's just kind of out of place. Like, it just feels like they're randomly exposition dumping you at the end of this episode. And he's like, "They were forged at the Temple of Light," and then she's randomly like, "Your fire power is the only thing that can do it. We're gonna melt down the golden armor and make the golden weapons again." It's just kind of a random exposition dump at the end of the episode, and it felt kind of forced, and kind of like, I don't know, it kind of like interrupted the nice emotional brother-sister moment they were having. I thought it was gonna be Jay that walked out there, but I thought it was really good that it was Kai, because, you know, I think Kai was the person that Nia really needed to see at that point. And so that's the thing. If you're not a fan of, like, if you're more of a fan of Ninjago action, I am, and I think the Ninjago action is very well helmed, and it has been in the last few seasons, because the action has been very gripping. But this is a much more family, emotional-based episode, and that's what I needed. And I really like that. So at the end of the episode, they have to go to the Monastery of Spinjitzu to melt down the golden weapons in the forge. And they have a nice little callback to when Kai was, like, bending that sword in the first episode, the very first Ninjago episode. Gave me flashbacks. So all of Ninjago depends on Kai's blacksmithing ability. And then at the end of the episode, it shows the Oni destroyed city, or the Oni covered city. And then you hear them, like, Cole being like, "I've got it, Cole!" And you hear them screaming, and then you see from the perspective of the city, and you see that Cole's landed in this building, and then you see the Oni tendrils of mist covering him. And that's where it ends. So that's kind of interesting. Like, Cole, they set up Cole being the one. Like, I expected Cole to fall. I thought it might not have happened because I thought that's what they were kind of alluding to in the first episode, but he did kind of fall in the first episode, but Lloyd rescued him. That's the thing. This time Lloyd wasn't there to rescue him, and so they set up from the very beginning, he being the only one who felt the cold of the Oni, and him almost falling in, and they set it up very well, I might add. They set that up very well. That Cole was going to fall, but I thought the moment was incredibly emotionally well done. They did a weird echo on Jay's voice in the trailer, and they did it again where they're like Cole, like not like that, but like it has a weird kind of echo, and it's kind of takes it out of the moment a little bit, but yeah, it was just kind of really well done. So this episode was really good. I thought so, in my opinion. I think this episode was really good. I think it revitalized this season because the last 2 seasons I loved, and I didn't like how they threw away what made Garmadon so great in the last 2 seasons, which made him so interesting, which was that he was this cold, calculating villain, like who had no soul basically, and then in this one he feels like a completely different character when it starts off, and he's like this funny, charismatic guy. But I really loved that they made him this, like, even though he is kind of more funny, he still doesn't understand family and love, because he's not the same Garmadon. But um, but then he kind of starts to realize again, just by talking to this one guy, and that was one of my favorite. I think that was one of the best moments in Ninjago history. I don't think this is one of the best episodes, but it's much better in terms of this season. It's the best one so far. The first 2 are kind of bad. So overall, I'm going to give this episode an A- as a rating. I definitely recommend you check it out. It's better than the first 2. I think I would lower... In some cases, I would lower my ratings in the first 2 episodes, but in some cases, I would kind of, like, raise the rating. It's kind of weird. But, I love this episode. So if you're more of an action fan and you're not more of a fan of family and kind of emotional stuff, then you're not going to like this episode. But this episode was what I needed. It gave Garmadon depth. It gave all the characters needed depth, and it just made... I loved it. I thought this was an incredible episode, and just having these... Like, these are animated Lego people, but yet you can be in this moment where they're all crushed because they think one of their friends is dead. And it's so emotional and well done. So I'm gonna give this episode an A-. The first 6 minutes are strangely bad, and it feels like kind of a random exposition dump with Nia saying that they need to go to the monastery Smijitsu at the end. But this is so much better than the first 2. I definitely recommend it above those. I'm gonna give it an A-. So you guys let me know what you thought of Ninjago March of the Oni, or Ninjago March of the Oni episode 3, or Ninjago episode 97, The Fall, in the comments. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you guys have a great day. Take care.